You know, everyone said that week 2 of college football was sleepy, but instead, it certainly had a lot of excitement. Welcome into Got It Covered. I'm Giovanni Heater alongside Raza Umarani. And Raza, the dialogue coming into week 2 of college football was, sleepy week. Let's just wait for week 3. If there's ever a week to go pumpkin picking, apple picking, have a friend's wedding, it's week 2. It doesn't compare to week 1. It doesn't compare to week 3. It doesn't compare to the rest of the season. And instead, we had some banger games. We had some upsets, which is always what you get when it seems sleepy. And it certainly was full of excitement.
Yeah, I like how you're saying people said it was a good time to go pumpkin picking and apple picking. You said it was a good time to go pumpkin picking and apple picking. And I mean, it certainly didn't disappoint. I mean, I missed a little bit of the action on Saturday because I was back at home. It was my birthday weekend, so spending a lot of time with the family, but still keeping up with everything and watched a lot of the games in the evening and the nightcap. So definitely a very exciting week. That the bigger matchups that we were kind of keying in on, I think definitely either lived up to the hype or left us with a lot of things to talk about. So, it's been a busy week for both of us. Obviously, a lot of travel for me and just figuring out our schedule. So might be a little late to the party here, but we definitely gotta give our thoughts on what happened this past weekend.
I think the best place to start was the nightcap on Saturday in Norman, Oklahoma. This was the top 25 matchup of the week as Oklahoma hosts Michigan. And this was the Brent Venables, John Mateer, We've Arrived game. We said that was an opportunity on the table for Oklahoma to deliver on. We also said that this could be Bryce Underwood's opportunity to do much of the same. And instead, it was Oklahoma that did that. Mateer goes out there 21 of 34 for 270 yards, a touchdown and a pick. But on the ground, he was super, super explosive. 19 carries, 74 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Again, we talked about it in the preseason. I said if there's a guy to be sleeping on for a possible Heisman conversation, it'd be a guy like John Mateer. And I had circled this game saying, this is his opportunity to do it on a high level, on a national stage where all the eyes of America are going to be watching when they face Michigan. And I think in a lot of ways he delivered on that. Michigan on the other side didn't look great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for Oklahoma, this was in a way what we thought the Tennessee game last year could have been. And they kind of laid an egg. And instead, it was a year ahead of schedule. They get their quarterback in there now, right? They feel a lot better about what they have in Mateer probably than what they had in Jackson Arnold. And now Oklahoma is here, and we have to talk about them as contenders.
For sure. And I think that we knew that, Mateer was capable of doing these things. The question was like, oh, can he do it in the SEC? And while this wasn't an SEC game, this was definitely obviously an SEC caliber opponent, right? Michigan, for all of their shortcomings a year ago, and for how poor they looked in this game, is still Michigan. And you could see up front in this game, they were still big, like they were pretty stout against the run when it wasn't John Mateer. But this is pretty much how we expected this game to go, right? Low scoring, let Mateer do his thing. So for me, like Oklahoma pretty much won the way I expected them to, at least on offense. But for me, I look at Michigan and I'm like, there's clearly some things left still to work out. Now, I thought that was going to be the case, but I don't really like Bryce Underwood beefing with his teammates on the sideline.
No.
And I said, if you're Oklahoma, one of the things you need to do on defense is contain the run game with Justice Haynes and let Bryce Underwood beat you as a passer. I feel like Justice Haynes so much of his statistics came from that big rushing touchdown at the start of the second half. But I thought Haynes played pretty well. They almost invited Underwood to beat them with his arm, and he obviously just couldn't get it done. So I think the main takeaway from this is just how many times have we talked about experience with quarterbacks? And do I think Underwood's going to be a good player? Yeah, but he's just not there yet. And I think they have a ton of figuring out to do on that side of the ball. Michigan's defense, I think, is fine. I think this Oklahoma offense is just in a position where, because of how dynamic their quarterback is and for how, impressive their defense has looked, albeit not against maybe an SEC caliber offense. I think Oklahoma is in a position now where a lot is there for the taking to maybe be one of those at-large teams in the playoff if they can keep it up on both sides of the ball. Whereas Michigan, I know did you have them in the playoff?
I did
can't
not.
recall.
I had them on the outside looking in.
Right now it's they're looking like a long shot, just
Yes,
considering the
I
teams
agree.
that they have to play in the Big Ten.
I just don't know. Bryce Underwood certainly seemed a little uncomfortable. He goes 9 of 24, 142 yards, doesn't score a touchdown.
It's
Um,
bad.
it wasn't great. Wasn't great. I question though, like who's he expected to throw the ball to?
Yeah.
I don't love their receiver room. And I think Justin Haynes, 19 carries, 125 yards. Obviously, the 75-yard touchdown is a big piece of that. But like they got to feed him more. I mean, 19 carries. I don't know how you can feed him more than that. But he's a dog, and I feel like the offense in a way has to kind of run through him. And it feels like in the passing game, they're a year. I don't want to see a year behind. It's a true freshman quarterback, but they're a year till they'll get to full blown competitiveness.
So here's what I'll say. This Michigan team reminds me of the early to mid Harbaugh teams where they could run the ball effectively, but they did not have the quarterback play to balance out the offense. When did Michigan really start to contend? Who was the quarterback that changed the game for them?
It was who was before JJ.
I mean, really, it was JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
They made the college football with Cade McNamara for what it's worth,
right.
but JJ lost one game as a starter, and it was the TCU playoff game. Like, it was the fact that, I mean, dude, I'm just trying to think back to the NPCs they had playing quarterback. You had like John O'Corn and Wilton Spate and Shea Patterson, who was like the
Yeah,
best one that they had until
Jay
that point.
Patterson. Yep.
But really, it was JJ that changed the game for them. And it was the fact that they could hand the ball off to Blake Corum 30 times, but when a play needed to be made through the air, they could trust JJ to make a
Sure.
play. So even though he only had to throw the ball 15, 20 times a game, he did what he had to do. And that's what made him so effective. And also, for what it's worth, I mean, we saw it in his first NFL start the other night. Like, the kid was composed. He had a good head on his shoulders, really what you want in a quarterback. I'm starting to worry a little bit about Bryce Underwood's character, like out partying at frats in Ann Arbor and now yelling and getting in altercations with his teammates on the side. It's game 2, man. Like, you're the 5-star quarterback. A lot is going to be on your shoulders because this is the nature of the game we play. So I just think right now, although Michigan's run game is good enough and you can hand the ball off to Justice Haynes 25 times, they do not have the quarterback play to offset that to get them over the hump against good teams.
On the polar opposite end of that spectrum, how about John Mateer after the game? I mean, he seemed to be the complete captain of that team in so many ways. He was very, in his interview with Holly Rowe down on the sideline after the game, very yes ma'am, no ma'am, like grateful to be in the moment. That's the guy that you want as the face of your football team, right?
100%.
And I was really impressed with that. And I'm not saying the guys that have that edge and aren't all yes ma'am, no ma'am, don't have it as well. But
there's a balance.
There's definitely a balance. And I feel like John Mateer was actually to the extreme side of the spectrum of, buttoned up, put together, in a way.
Dude, because look at a guy like Cam Ward last year for Miami, right? On the field, the dude was
a dog,
pissing everyone off
yeah,
because he's doing this all the time.
right.
And he had the play to back it up, obviously. But off the field, Cam Ward is a stand-up model guy.
Yep. But he has
And
that chip. He
that's
does
the
have that
balance.
chip.
Exactly. You're like, dude, I was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. I had to go to FCS, all these other things. So it's like, there's a lot of kind of that Baker Mayfield, right? Baker was grabbing his junk against Kansas and all this stuff. But like, see, because that's sometimes you just have to find that balance. And I don't want my quarterback to be too hot-headed. So just a very interesting dichotomy of QBs in this game.
I did not appreciate Baker Mayfield enough when he was in college football.
Me neither.
And we were younger, like, I was probably like 14 when he's playing college football. And like, don't get me wrong, I was like, this guy's great, like good for Oklahoma. But like looking back on it, I'm like, wow, like so many moments stick out to you with Baker Mayfield. You were like, that is one of the generation defining players in the sport.
Yeah. 100%.
And he won a Heisman and everything. Like I did not appreciate Baker enough when he was doing it.
I was 16 when he won the Heisman. The reason I didn't appreciate Baker, just to put a button on it, is because like everybody knows my Ohio State affinity before I got to Virginia Tech, and the flag planting game. But my funny story from that game is, I was at my uncle's place, and we're watching whatever's on at 3:30. I want to say it was Clemson Auburn on at 3:30.
Banger.
And I fell asleep during that game. And when I woke up, it was midnight. I slept through the Ohio State Oklahoma flag planting game, which is
How'd you
crazy because
manage to do
that was like a top 5 matchup. Because I just fell asleep during the Auburn game and nobody had the audacity to wake me up.
You're the most locked in college football guy I know. I've never heard of you sleeping through a primetime window.
I must have been exhausted. So I woke up, I checked my phone, and like half of it is my friends trolling me, and the other half is like ESPN talking about how Baker Mayfield planted the flag. And I went and rewatched the game, and I was like, wow, I have to declare war on Baker this whole time. Fast forward now 8 years, and Baker's like one of my favorite football players in the world. So definitely didn't appreciate him enough. But that's your Ruzza anecdote of the day.
There we go. Last note on this game between Oklahoma and Michigan. Remaining schedule for Oklahoma. They go to Temple, which is interesting, this weekend. Then they play Auburn at home in Norman. They go and play Kent State at home. They host Texas. They play at South Carolina.
That's at
Oh yeah. Duh.
River.
Yeah. Good shout. Obviously that's in Dallas. At the Cotton Bowl. They go to South Carolina. They host Ole Miss. They go to Tennessee. They go to Alabama. They host Missouri. And then they end the season, regular season finale against LSU in Norman. I mean, dude.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Dude, it's difficult, but nothing is making me like shiver my timbers if I'm Oklahoma. Like we've seen Alabama be, I think preseason, it looks incredibly intimidating. But now that we've seen something, Alabama's not making me shiver my timbers.
Tennessee's not.
South Carolina really isn't either. You saw how they played against Virginia Tech. Shoot, they avoid Vanderbilt. I'd rather play Vanderbilt or play South Carolina than Vanderbilt. We're gonna find out because they're gonna play each other this weekend.
True.
But like at Tennessee, always a hard place to play. Like I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm just saying there's a road here for them to be aggressors. I'm not fully sold on Tennessee, to be honest, because as much as I love the orange decor behind me, Syracuse almost lost at home to UConn. So, I don't take a ton of stock in Tennessee, who, by the way, still coughed up 24 points to Syracuse, which is more points than the orange scored against UConn, So, I don't know. I just see a path. I'm not saying that they're going to make it to the SEC title. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm just saying I think that LSU game, the regular season finale, could be big boy for sure. If things play out the way that maybe they will, because I'm also not super high on Texas right now.
We don't know.
So interesting. Food for thought. No doubt about it. Let's go ahead and talk about this one, dude. What is going on in Gainesville?
I don't know.
South Florida goes in that. Now props to South Florida. Now think about their last couple of years. This isn't just a this year thing, right? They've been super competitive in these big games. Remember they were hanging in with Alabama for a while last year and stuff. Like they've been super competitive in these games. Then they knock off Boise State to open the season. Now they go to the Swamp and take down Florida. South Florida looks like your mid-major
playoff contender.
Playoff contender, no question. And then Florida, it was. You got me? My mic.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. All right, cool. It wasn't the fact that Florida lost this game. It's the fashion in which they did. You should never hold a team to 18 points in your own building and lose the game. And they did. And on top of it, I'm not saying South Florida doesn't still find a way to drive down the field and score the game, but you hawk a loogie on the opposing team, Jalen Carter style, and cough up the 15-yard penalty. And it's just like the lack of discipline.
Oh.
I'm out once again. I'm going to let you take the reins for a moment. But it was like the LSU and throwing of the shoe.
Exactly. Like, it's like the more things change in Gainesville, the more they stay the same. for me, it's like, I don't know what, I mean, maybe USF is just great on defense, right? They held Boise to 7 points. Now you hold Florida with their supposed Heisman caliber quarterback DJ Lagway to 16. I mean, I'm looking at the drive chart here. Here's the second half for Florida, okay? 3 and out, -8 yards, punt. 3 and out technically with the third down is an interception, okay? Then a 7-play drive that ends in a punt. Then a 3 and out that ends in a safety, right? I think that was the punt debacle. Then they force a 3 and out on defense, and Florida returns the punt to the USF 20, and they score a touchdown and take the 16-5 lead. Okay, fair enough. Then another punt. Then USF gets the ball back, and they miss the field goal that would have put them ahead. So now you get the ball back, and you're like, we just got to run out the clock. They go 3 and out again.
Yeah.
USF gets the ball back. Then there's the pass interference. Then there's the spit gate. And then they just go bang, bang, bang. They get down to the goal line and win the game. So, like, the undisciplined thing is one thing. For me, it's like, and again, maybe USF's defense is just that good. But how is a program like Florida in this position? And I told you I liked USF plus the big number in this game. I didn't think they'd win the darn thing, but for what it's worth, those are the second half drives I just laid out for you. Florida scored on each of their first half drives. 14-play field goal drive, 13-play field goal drive, 8-play field goal drive. So where was that in the second half? Like, what did they just get out coached that bad in the second half? Is that what happened?
I don't know. Alex Golish is about to be quite the
Power 4 head coach.
Yeah, no question. Quite the target for a lot of different programs. Yeah, it just can't happen if you're Florida, though.
Not
especially the way that it happened. If you lose a shootout or something, still not good. But like, what happened to DJ Lagway?
I don't know. He's just not as good as we thought they were, right? And then you have 11 penalties for 103 yards in the game. Anytime you're in double-digit penalties, it's insane, especially when one of them, like you said, is the spit gate. And I've seen people on Twitter saying, like, did he do that because he saw Jalen Carter do it on Thursday? And I'm like, I'm not saying there's no correlation. I'm not saying there is correlation, but there's not no correlation. Like, I don't know that.
Why would you saw the player get suspended? Why would you do it, though? That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they thought he could get away with it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's dire straits in Gainesville, a season that had such high aspirations. Now, don't get me wrong, they could still be fine, but it's like, how do you bounce back from something like this? This is not something you just bounce back from.
All right. Well, we're going to have a whole separate video come out where we are going to break down some coaching hot seats because there's a handful of head coaches at some very big time programs that are definitely with their backs against the wall here. Billy Napier, probably the headliner, no question. So be on the lookout for that because we're going to have that coming out before the weekend. And let's move on to Illinois. How about taking care of business in Durham? I took Duke to win the game. I think you took Duke to win the game.
Yeah, I had Duke money line.
And it was close for a while. And then Brett Bielema, Luke Altmaier, dude, they look like playoff contenders for real. And their next 4 weeks are about to be massive for them. But they seriously look like they could be playoff contenders. That was an impressive win because I do think Duke is still a pretty good football team.
I do too. And what do we always say? I mean, obviously Darian Mensah is the shiny new toy, but what do we always say is the strength of this Duke team under Manny Diaz? It's their defense.
Sure.
And they gave up 31 points in the second half to this Illinois squad that admittedly is really good. We knew they were going to be good offensively. They are great offensively, and particularly in the passing game with Luke Altmaier. Their running game is nothing to sneeze at, but it's also nothing that's going to, as you said earlier, make you shake in your boots. It's Altmaier, and the way he's been slinging it around. I mean, like, again, I said it last week when we talked about this game, that Beatty kid is just, he's his top guy. Like, he's this year's Pat Bryant. He might be better than Pat Bryant was. I don't know, which is crazy because Pat Bryant was like a 3rd round pick in the NFL. They're just pumping out receivers at Illinois for some reason. But what I see here is a playoff caliber offense. What I see here is a team that could, I can't believe I'm saying this, could be the best offense that Ohio State plays this year. Like
maybe Oregon, but yeah, or
in
Penn
the regular
State.
season. In the regular season.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Could be
because
Penn
Penn
State,
State.
but yeah.
I mean, but then you got Penn State struggling to string together scoring drives against Florida International.
Yeah.
Like this is Illinois going on the road and doing this to a defense we know is good, has multiple first round picks potentially on that side of the ball, and they made them look pedestrian. So, I mean, I would love to like sit here and say this is about Duke being bad and stuff like that, but really, I think this is about Illinois being one of the
Legit.
best offenses in the Power Four in the country.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. So their upcoming schedule, they got Western Michigan at home. And here's the 2 weeks that I think are going to make or break things a little bit as far as their playoff hopes go. You go to Indiana, who's currently ranked 22nd in the country, and then you host USC. After that, you go to Purdue, you play Ohio State, you get Ohio State at home in Champaign, which is huge.
Game day watch.
You go to Washington, which is definitely not an easy place to play, but you should win that game. Rutgers, Maryland, at Wisconsin, Northwestern. Dude, who they losing to? If they get past Indiana and USC, you can afford a loss to Ohio State, and shoot, you could afford a loss to Washington and still be a playoff team. So if they can get through Indiana and USC, we're looking at a playoff Illinois team, no question. Probably a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it screams Indiana from last year. The difference is Illinois came into the year as top 15 team.
Yes.
It's not like Indiana, they came out of nowhere last year. This offense is just a fearsome one. I think they should beat Indiana next week.
I do too.
Ohio State obviously is going to be tricky. I mean, even with the pomp and circumstance of that game. And again, I believe that will probably be the first time game day goes to Illinois. Unless they went last year. I don't think they went last year. I'm pretty sure that would be the first time game day goes to Illinois. That stadium will still have more scarlet and gray than navy and orange.
Yeah, they've never been to Illinois. It's Syracuse,
so they're probably
Illinois, Maryland, Rutgers, Virginia, and SMU now that they're a power conference team.
Wow. Yeah, because
so
they went to Cal last year.
They'll definitely go if they have the opportunity to. No question.
Yeah, I think both those teams will be undefeated going into that game.
That's why they went to Cal last year, to check one off the list,
Exactly. So I think even if you're sitting there with 2 losses, Indiana and Ohio State, you're a fringe playoff team. If you're 11-1, you could find your way into the title game, let alone the playoffs. So with an offense that's performing as well as this, man, the sky is the limit for the Illini. So shout out to my dad's alma mater.
Yeah. Illinois looks really, really good. No question about it. How about this one? Arizona State goes on the road. Heartbreaker. Number 12, ASU gets knocked off by Mississippi State, but what a night for Mississippi State.
Yeah, they deserve that, man.
Starksville was a zoo, man. And the fact that they were ahead, then coughed up the lead, Arizona State comes roaring back, and then you got the long touchdown throw to win the game and put it on ice. Like those cowbells. It's been a minute since we heard those cowbells have that kind of an impact. So it was nice. It stinks that it came at the expense of Arizona State, because I think we all love rooting for the Sun Devils and Kenny Dillingham. And, my biggest takeaway is like, what's going on with Sam Leavitt? He is not playing up to the par that we had held him to going into the year, and not as good as he was last year, plain and simple. Like, It's not like we made these projections up in our head, right? Shout out Mississippi State. They needed that. Arizona State, I mean, I'd love to sit here and say you're going to be fine, but I don't know, especially with how wide open the Big 12 is.
Yeah, I think Utah has asserted themselves as the team to beat in the Big 12, which we talked about it when we previewed the Big 12. It's a possibility that I saw coming. The affinity I have for Devin Dampier. I think, again, it's week 2, but if the season ended today, he'd be in New York. Sam Leavitt is just not seeing anything well right now. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's a situation where there was too much like self Kool-Aid that was drank in the off season. I don't know, but I mean, he had 2 interceptions in this game, less than 100 yards, less than 50% completion against the defense that's not great. I mean, yeah, it's the SEC, but that's only by association, if we're being honest. I want to give a ton of credit to Mississippi State. Obviously, like there are few programs, if any, that deserve something like this to happen to them. I can think of another school that wears a darker shade of red that could use a game like this as well at home in the not too distant future, but that's neither here nor there. So for me, like obviously the story is top 15 Arizona State now completely fallen out of the ranking, out of the top 25, and Levitt has completely turned into a pumpkin for some reason. Although Raleek Brown had a nice game on the ground for Arizona State. You just gotta feel happy for the people down in Starkville who are losing their minds. Brandon Walker absolutely losing it on Twitter the other day. So good for that program. Good for those people. They could definitely use the lift. But now Arizona State's in the position where the climb is back uphill, and really, like the main takeaway isn't even about Arizona State. It's the fact that the Big 12 is seemingly Utah's to lose. It's going to be hard to see somebody not get them off.
I mean, it wasn't a conference game, so it doesn't hurt their conference standings at all. But yeah, it just feels like there's a lot exploited, and we're just not as high on the Sun Devils as we once were.
Exactly.
Another Big 12 team comes away with a big win, though. Number 16, Iowa State, able to fend off Kurt Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Gronowski, I don't think is it. They were hoping he was, and it's the same old Iowa, unfortunately. And Iowa State definitely didn't do anything to, knock my socks off, but Rocco Becht and the boys got it done, and that's all it takes sometimes, especially in such a great rivalry like this. The Cy-Hawk Trophy.
I mean, it was a situation of who's going to score last.
Yeah.
Essentially. But not because it was a shootout, not like who has the ball last, but it's like, in the second half, there was 2 scores. They were both field goals. Right. And it was a situation of classic Iowa State. I mean, I told you the under always smacks in this game. And even though it was 41.5, I'm like, yeah, I'll take the under. And I did, and it hit. And, that was a cheeky little win for me on a day with a few losses. Yeah, this was just classic Iowa State. And every year, Iowa fans like to think that they have a quarterback, and then they play like South Dakota State in the opener, and they're like, oh my God, we can throw the ball. And then they play an actual football team. Actually, credit to South Dakota State. They're a good FCS program, but they'll play whoever the heck in week 1. And they'll be like, oh my God, we can throw the ball. And then they'll have to pony up and play Iowa State or whoever they start playing in the Big Ten. And it's like, oh, never mind. No, we can't. And the difference is this year compared to last is they don't have a Caleb Johnson type back that is that good right now. Like that Patterson kid's pretty good. But I mean, Caleb Johnson was this offense for the last couple of years, and they just don't have that right now. So
yeah,
they obviously are talented enough defensively to hold a team like Iowa State to 16 points, but they just can't make up for it with their own offense. So it's Groundhog Day for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
How about Baylor and SMU? This was a banger of a game down in Dallas. Baylor makes it happen, man. I mean, how about this team, though, that I know, we talked about them as possibly being Big 12 contenders. Do we have to reopen that discussion a little bit more?
I mean, that is a conversation that's on the table. And simultaneously, Sawyer Robertson Heisman campaign is on the table.
Wow.
I mean, no other quarterback. Now, granted, they lost to Auburn. I don't want to lose that in the mix here. But no other quarterback has been as productive with his arm. I'm pretty sure he leads the nation in passing right now. Again, just 2 games for what it's worth. But their offense, man, is a absolute machine. I mean, they had over 600 yards of offense in this game. What's crazy is that they should have lost. I mean, you had SMU up by 14 in the final 5 minutes. I mean, SMU scored on the first play of the game. Right. And you're like, oh my God, it's one of those games. And then they're just going bang, 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 bang the whole game.
Banger of a game, dude.
They're exchanging blows. And then You had in the fourth quarter, SMU take a 7-point lead with a touchdown. Baylor fumbles the ball back. SMU scores another touchdown to make it a 14-point game. And it's like, okay, the game is over. But then Baylor scores a touchdown, gets a stop, gets the ball back, scores at the end of regulation. SMU misses the game-winning field goal. And then Baylor wins in double overtime. So, like you said, man, they just make it happen. This was less about defense, which is what we always like to think about with Baylor, and more about the fact that their offense was just a machine. Like, I don't like what I saw from their defense, although we know that SMU's offense is really good. But what they did, either by air or by ground with Sawyer Robertson, they're just a machine on offense that's going to have to be dealt with in the Big 12, which lacks in elite defenses. So we definitely have to keep our eye on them, just as a lot of pundits expected us to.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about one more big headlining game, and then we'll just kind of break down some thoughts from the other games before we get out of here. Vanderbilt rolls into Blacksburg, coughs up the football a couple of times in the first half, trails 20-10 at the break.
Mm-hmm.
They proceed to, in the second half, outscore Virginia Tech 34-0, outgain Virginia Tech by 300 yards, and hold the Hokies to just 21 yards of total offense in the second half, and blow them out in a Rockin' Lane Stadium where a single seat isn't occupied, 44-20. We're going to have our hot seat conversation about coaching, so we'll kind of save that. In a lot of ways, this felt like a nail in the coffin for Virginia Tech. And then on the other side for Vanderbilt, team's legit. Yeah. Because you saw Virginia Tech compete with South Carolina. I mean, it essentially took a special teams touchdown late in the game for South Carolina to pull away. Vanderbilt's going to Columbia to take on South Carolina this weekend. I don't know how Vandy's not ranked.
Yeah, only got one vote.
And I think that there's a real shot that Vanderbilt goes and beats South Carolina this weekend.
Yeah. I don't disagree, because this is obviously a very good Vanderbilt team that returned so much from a team that went 7-6 last year and beat Tech, beat Alabama, beat Georgia Tech in the bowl game, and also covered against Texas one time, which was very good for the old bank account.
They're so well coached.
They are, man.
They're running a ship over there.
They literally, they are. I'll save the conversation about coaching and leave this one to just football. I think Virginia Tech, from a personnel standpoint right now, is a mess. The offensive line was already beat up and got more beat up as this game went along, which is why they couldn't get anything going offensively in the second half. I wonder how much longer Kyron Drones has as the starting quarterback. And it's not because, like, don't get me wrong, I think Drones is their best option, but you gotta wonder how much longer you can leave him out to dry. Like, you gotta maybe make a change if this were to continue, just for the sake of your own offense. Like, how much longer can you deal with inaccurate throws, no downfield passing ability? I mean, there should have been a couple picks in this game, right? Drones really should have thrown a pick six on that one-hander that Aiden Green went up and snagged. If he doesn't do that, it's 6 in the other direction, because it's going to fall right into the hands of the linebacker that's behind Aiden Green. And then defensively, man, I don't know what happened with Tech
from week over week. Other. Yeah.
I mean, you are so stout against the South Carolina team that boasts way more talent offensively than Vanderbilt does, has a way better dual threat quarterback in Lenoris. Now, Pavia is great, but Lenoris is Lenoris. Like, this could be a top 10 pick in the draft. And they just were so much better, so much more sound. Their gap integrity was so much better up front. I have no idea what happened. I mean, is it a matter of conditioning? Is it a matter of morale or
They've been
what
outscored 48-3 in second halves so far this year.
that's insane. After you fire last year's strength and conditioning coach, you bring in a new guy that everybody loves, and now you're just getting mauled down the stretch. I mean, and I do think I want to get this off my chest, and this ties into coaching, so I get into it more later. I think Tech gave up in this
Yes.
game in the
You
fourth
had
quarter.
to have. You
You
don't
could
get
see
blown
it.
out that bad. Yeah.
You could see it, right? Because Vanderbilt did not take a lead in this game until the final play or 2 plays, right, of the third quarter when
Sure.
they went up, when they missed the PAT, right? It was gonna be
Right.
24-20, but they missed the PAT, so it's 23-20. Dude, at that point, you're still in the game. Like, yeah, you just, gave up 2 touchdowns in the quarter, you're down, but you're only down 3, you can go back, tie the game, or take the lead on this possession. Then they, go, like, 3 and out, and Drones get sacked a couple times, and then Vanderbilt just pounds it down your throat and takes a double-digit lead,
It
and I
was
think from there, they gave up.
a complete house of cards.
It's
Like,
just one falls, and they
and
all fall down.
it was one of the more unbelievable halves of football I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Honestly.
and again, I think they gave up because from that point on, Tech did not look like they wanted to be there offensively, and the defense might as well have just stood around and just let Vanderbilt walk past them. It was embarrassing. I mean, I think it's one of those games that when this era of Virginia Tech football is over, you can point to it and say that was
That was
where it
the one.
ended. You know,
1000%.
I think last year there were a couple you could think of, but we knew that there was always going to be one more year. I think the previous regime, you can maybe look at the 21 Syracuse game where they choked at the end. You got that game against Duke back in 2019, but there were still 2 years left in the tenure. But you could kind of see the writing was on the wall. For me, that reminds me of like last year's Rutgers game. Like that's where a lot of people were like, the trust has been lost.
Sure.
But maybe you can prove it to me again. There's no coming back from this for this athletic department. And again, we'll get into that later. But honestly, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch. I feel horrible for the people that paid to go see that game. I felt bad enough wasting 3 hours of my life watching it on the ACC network. So bad time in Virginia Tech. And now they're finally starting to catch flack nationally. And it's just, it's going to get worse
Yes.
before it gets better in Blacksburg.
I agree.
And that makes me sad.
It does. It does make me sad. That's our school. That's our school. Couple of notes on the rest of the landscape of college football before we wrap up the show. Louisville pulls away in a dogfight with JMU. Impressive outing by the Dukes. I'm not as high on Miller Moss as I was kind of hoping he would perform coming into the season. Isaac Brown's a dog, though. He said, let's stop playing around. I'm going to end this game right now. And has that touchdown run to make it a 2-score game. So Louisville pulls away. Great Friday night game that was close all the way throughout. Haynes King already hurt. He's going to play this week, though, against Clemson. So he goes out in the last game. Philo comes in at quarterback for him. Played a lot last year because Haynes King is always hurt. Philo ends up winning ACC Rookie of the Week for whatever that's worth. But they're saying Haynes King's going to be a go against Clemson. So massive game. We'll get into all of that with our week 3 predictions, of course. Clemson did not look super impressive against Troy. Troy led the game at the half, 16-3. The Tigers were able to get it together and win the game. But I think that there are some alarm bells a little bit for Dabo and company. Oregon smoked. And we're going to talk about this in our coaching hot seat. But I mean smoked Oklahoma State. Blew them out of the water. And it's Oklahoma State, dude. It was an FCS level score here. Shouldn't happen like that.
No. And again, 69-3, and Oregon didn't score in the fourth quarter. It was 69-3 at the end of 3. And for me, so much of this is obviously about Oklahoma State and how much of a joke that program is unfortunately devolved into. Because I think college football is better when the Pokes are good. The folks in Stillwater are awesome. I have a lot of love for that university. But man, we got to start looking at Oregon as a machine because they did this last year too. They put the whooping on another black and orange wearing OSU when they smacked Oregon State in the Civil War last year. But like it's never looked like this. And Dante Moore, man, he looks like he's got the goods. And
Yeah,
Jacorian Moore is the best freshman in college football right now. So we're going to have to look at Oregon really seriously because their schedule is very favorable this year.
yes.
They could make a push at a first round bye at this rate.
I 1000% agree. Take you through the drive chart of this game. Like, remember, this is Mike Gundy. This is Oklahoma State we're talking about. Punt, punt, punt. That's the first quarter. Field goal, punt, punt, end of half. Punt, 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 interception, interception, punt, punt, end of game. That's how the game went for Oklahoma State. This is how the game went for the Oregon Ducks. Touchdown, touchdown, turnover on downs, touchdown, 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 missed field goal, touchdown, and a couple of mercy punts at the end.
It's unbelievable, right? It should have been 70, but they missed a 2-point conversion or something like that. So I think got another one back. So
and they missed a field goal.
So really, it should have been 73-3.
Let's see how long the missed field goal was. It was not that it really matters. I mean, it was a 57-yard field goal attempt.
Just insane. Any which way you swing it, it's insane. So I think Oregon deserves to be bumped up to what 4 they are this week in the rankings. Yeah. They deserve to be in the top 5.
I agree. Bravo to Dan Lanning in Oregon, but we got to start talking about Mike Gundy for sure. Colorado, they're going to start their third string quarterback this week after Ryan Staub went out there and hooped, essentially. What do you make of the move for Dion and the Buffs in Boulder?
I think it's a situation where I say that a lot. I'm sorry. I think it's a situation of not wanting to throw your freshmen to the dogs, essentially. Julian Lewis is obviously a high-profile recruit, but still just a kid. You know what I'm saying? And I think you've got a guy with like some decent experience. Staub was there from when Dion got there in the first place, right? This is his third season in Colorado.
Right.
He was backing up Shador. So a guy who knows the offense, he knows the system, he knows the players. I think it's the right choice for Colorado, even though Lewis is your shiny new toy if you want to win football games, because Colorado is not in a position where they want to go 3-9 like they did in 23. They want to go 9-3 like they did last year. And I think Staub gives them the best chance to win based on what we've seen in the first 2 games, because Salter did not look good against Georgia Tech. And if they say Staub's the best option, I think that I agree. Yeah.
And this doesn't have to do with Salter's not hurt, right? This is a pure decision. Yeah.
Yep.
Fascinating for sure. Ohio upsets West Virginia in Athens. What a moment for the Bobcats. Year 1, not off to a great start for the Mountaineers. That's where my sister's going to go to college. So I have to change my rooting interests a little bit.
Yeah, well, as long as Rich Rodriguez is there, they're not going to be much to root for.
Not a big Rich Rod guy?
No, I said there was a disaster waiting to happen. Didn't I pick West Virginia to finish like last? I can't even remember.
Yeah, you did. I guess I listened to too much Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee will tell you that they're going to win the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
exactly. He will. Army goes into Manhattan and beats Kansas State
1 week after losing to Tarleton State, by the way.
I know. Kansas State drops to 1-2. Not the season we expected out of Avery Johnson and company.
No, I mean, they should be 0-3. They should be 0-3 when they lost to Army, who lost to Tarleton State, and the loss to FCS North Dakota.
Right. This is an Army from last year that was really good. Right.
Nope. So the Kansas State is awful. Just awful.
Syracuse comes back to beat UConn, trailed by 11 in the fourth quarter. Fran Brown had the boys running sprints on the field after the game. The national media was all over that. Some
I
people
respect the hell out of it.
yeah,
I love it.
Greg Olson and some guys were getting on it, didn't like it. John
I
Gruden
loved
didn't
it.
like it. You love it. I love it too. I
Yeah.
think he was sending a message to both the team and the fan base showing how much he cares. Because Syracuse played like literally hot garbage for
Yes.
most of that game and
Yes.
got it together, put together some really nice drives. Credit the defense. The defense allowed 6 points in the second half. The defense literally kept getting UConn's offense off the field and giving Syracuse a chance. So the defense actually played pretty fantastic, especially in the second half. But the offense was terrible for most of the game till they got it together. I love it. Fran's unique. I was all over it. And people's argument, like Olson and Gruden, their argument was like, oh, you're embarrassing the players and people are going to transfer. It's like, if that's the case, you don't want them to begin with.
Exactly. I'm a boomer when it comes to these things. Like every time people like hate on Tom Izzo because he yells at his players, I'm like, nah, dude. I want my coach to yell at his players.
Right.
I'd rather have my coach tell my players to line up on the goal line and run sprints after the game than go up to the podium after losing 34-0 in the second half and saying, yeah, I thought we were tired down the stretch. And let me say this. All right, I just had this thought in my head, actually. You might like this one. You cannot watch Miracle and love it when you know the scene where Herb
I am
is
a
like
hockey player.
No, earlier in the movie when Herb is like
again.
The again scene, exactly.
Again.
When he's like would tell them to line up and
Again. Yeah.
like people love that scene. You cannot love that scene from Miracle and hate on what Fran Brown did. You are a hypocrite. So now granted, a lot more was on the line in Miracle, I will say that. But listen, peanut butter and jelly, not the answer. I wonder when Syracuse is going to play another quarterback because nobody wants to watch that guy anymore.
Well,
so, and I can't take credit for that one, but that's an SVP one from Bad Beats. Peanut butter and jelly. I'm going to call him that the rest of the year.
There you go. They already have shirts made, so I don't even think SVP came up.
Oh, really?
That. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, you're so much more tapped in. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. No, I would agree until you watch the comeback in that game because Angeli went from playing very poorly to got the team together and looked like a polished assassin to finish the game. Like went on this minute and 18-second 10-play 80-yard drive where they threw the ball on every snap. I mean, he showed ability there. That's not nothing. Yeah. No question about it. So
yeah, it's just those first 3 quarters and 10 minutes were just spooky.
Dude was having a rough day in the Dome, no question.
For sure.
You'll probably see a little Ricky Collins this Friday. They play Colgate, so probably the opportunity to get some twos out there.
Yeah, when it's 49-0 at halftime.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't think there's any world where they go with somebody other than Angeli till after the Clemson game, which is next week. Because I think you got to give it time to see what you have.
Yeah,
for sure. Speaking of your Tom Izzo reference, Michigan State edges out Boston College, a 2-overtime thriller in East Lansing. That was a heck of a ball game. For the ACC's sake, I really would have loved to have seen Boston College take it home, but Michigan State gets it done, and it's worth mentioning because 42-40 final score, banger of a game, double overtime. Of course, that's the beauty of college football. And East Lansing, no matter how good or bad they are, it's kind of like Lane Stadium. It's one of those spots, you know.
Yeah. And I think they got a quarterback over there, Naden Childs. I mean, I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Could be one of the better quarterbacks in the country by the time this season is wrapped up. I mean, Michigan State's a fun team to watch, man. And if their offense can perform like this against the high-level teams on their schedule, of which there are a few, they're gonna be frisky for anybody that plays them, and then the same might be able to be said about Boston College. I know they lost the game, but their offensive personnel also looks pretty exciting. So, listen, I always say in college football, I think it's better if your offense is ahead of your defense because any shootout can be won by any team in college football. It's not like the NFL. defense wins championships, but offense can win you plenty of games.
Yeah.
And so I left this game feeling better about both these teams, I think, than I did when I entered it. So I'm a big fan of Childs and going to look forward to seeing Michigan State the rest of this year.
Last nugget from week 1 storylines, week 2 storylines, actually. UNLV takes down UCLA. They advance to 3-0. So very alive is our pick for our group of 5 representation in the college football playoff. I said mid-major earlier in the show. That's
same.
This is not college basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Mullen and company are 3-0. I don't know how convincing it's been to get to that point. At times, Alex Orji is going to be out for the rest of the season. So it will be the Anthony Calandria show, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. The 2-quarterback system was bizarre. I never liked that. And
I don't like any 2-quarterback system.
And man, UCLA, not it. Not it.
I mean, Nico's bad, obviously, but to their credit,
he has no support.
And they were furiously coming back in that game. I mean, they threw that pick to end it, which fair enough. But up until that point, man, they were threatening to either tie it, or maybe if they were to score a touchdown at the end of the game there, they would have gone for 2 and tried to win it. But I said it last week, I think, when we talked about Nico, like, obviously the kid's just not the player that we thought he was. I mean, I give a ton of credit to UNLV because they didn't look very good against worse opponents in the first 2 weeks, but UCLA is only a Power 4 team by association. They don't play like it. They don't have a roster that reflects that. And I think right now, we're still alive, but it's hard to not give it to USF. So, happy that UNLV keeps on winning games. I think UCLA is doomed, and we'll see what happens down the stretch in the group of 5, because it's going to be interesting to monitor.
Be on the lookout. So much content coming out. This is, of course, your college football week 2 reactions. We're going to have a coaching hot seat discussion, a short video there. We're also, of course, going to have our week 3 college football predictions. We're going to have our NFL week 2 predictions. Just tons of content coming at you. So be on the lookout. Follow us on social media where you can find it all as well. That's at Got It Covered FB, Instagram, Twitter. We put all the information out there. So be sure to be locked in. Check it all out and share the show with a friend if you like it. Hit the subscribe button, leave a like, give us a comment, give us your thoughts, because we're always looking to grow the show and make this thing as good as it can be. But signing off for now, he's Raza Umarani. I'm Giovanni Heater, and we'll see you next time right here on GIC.